श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सहनाववतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनाब्धीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So yesterday we saw jnānam ekam sada bhāti sarva avasthasu nirmalam mandabhagyana jananti surupam kevalam brahata. Surupam kevalam brahata. So we saw jnānam ekam nirmalam. Here this is a shloka which establishes the Swarupa Lakshana. We call this Swarupa Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means the definition of inherent nature of the self. So this is a definition of inherent nature of the self this shloka deals with. Jnānam ekam explains the one non-dual knowledge. Sada bhāti sarva avasthasu explains the omnipresence. Sat or sada bhati, sada sarvavasthasu nirmalam bhati means it is the existence, knowledge. Chid, sad, chid. Okay, jnanam ekam, no, this is sad, sarvavasthasu, in all the states it is sad. Then swarupam kevalam brahata, it is omnipresent, that means it is ananta, ananda. Okay, so the Satchidananda Swarupa is established through this shloka. Jnanam ekam sada bhati, sat, then or chit, does not really matter. Sarva avasthasu nirmalam is sat, then Swarupam kevalam brahata is the ananta, ananda Swarupa. So the Swarupa Lakshana of the self is established here in this. And mandabhagyana jananti, this though is the inherent nature of the self, not the people who are less fortunate can understand this. Mandabhagya means less fortunate, but we don't interpret in that sense. We say mandabhagya means people with not dull intellect, people with improper eligibility. We are not even talking about, when we say eligibility, we are not just talking about the prerequisites, viveka, vairagya, sadhakshamadhi, shakti, sampatti, mukshitva, not just that, etc. The sadhana chatushtaya, etc. That is what we say as mandabhagya. If they don't have that, they are mandabhagya. Then what is that? So sadhana chatushtaya, what by etc. what? Because just by sadhana chatushtaya, you will not be able to gain, just by gaining the prerequisites, you will not be able to gain the knowledge, because if it does not lead you to Vedanta, it should have to lead you to Vedanta naturally. But if it does not lead you to Vedanta, even those prerequisites are useless. I ridicule that. You can't even clean your tongue with that sadhana chatushtaya. Useless they are. What is the use? Now, this sadhana chatushtaya, it leads you to the Guru, and from Guru you understand, you study the Vedanta, then reflect and meditate upon, contemplate upon it. That is called as Adi. Sadhana chatushtaya, Adi, etc. So, you need to have the prerequisites, you need to have the listening, reflecting and contemplating. Shravana, Manana, Dhyasana. So, if you don't possess any of that, then you are one of the mandabhagyas, people who are less fortunate. You are that. So, now we understood that. Then he says, saṅkalpasākṣi yajjñānaṃ sarvalokaikajīvanam tadevāsmīti yo veda sa mukto nātra saṃśayaḥ saṅkalpasākṣi yajjñānaṃ sarvalokaikajīvanam tadevāsmīti iti yo veda sa mukto nātra saṃśayaḥ. saṅkalpasākṣi sarvalokaikajīvanam yajjñānaṃ. So he says, yajjñānaṃ, that knowledge, which is a saṅkalpasākṣi, which is a sarvalokaikajīvanam. Yajjñānaṃ, that knowledge means that self. Knowledge here does not mean knowledge. It means the self. But wait, jnana means paroksha jnana. You said vijnana means aparoksha jnana, jnana means paroksha jnana, vijnana means immediate knowledge, jnana means immediate knowledge. When jnana means immediate knowledge and you say jnana means self, is self immediate? No. Self is ever immediate. Yes, sakshat, aparokshat, brahma, it is always immediate. So, the knowledge with respect to the word, with respect to the self, whether you call it knowledge or anything, ignorance also does not really matter. Because self is nameless. You can call it with any name. What is in the name? Okay. Now, jnana here means self. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma, prajñānaṃ brahma. So, jnana means here, instead of yajjñānaṃ, he could have said yat satyam, yat chityam, yat chaitanyam, yad anandam, whichever. It is possible. So, here he uses jnana. Which knowledge? Saṅkalpasākṣi is the witness for the saṅkalpa, the intentions. We have intentions, saṅkalpa. Is it like this or is it like that? That, whichever is sakshi, witness for that. Now, sakshi is interpreted as witness, but we are against witness. I am against witness. I don't like it. Because people interpret sakshi as witness as a self. You have to remain witness for it. You can't be witness for anything. You can't be witness for anything. Leave alone this being the self, in the state of self. That's most stupid statement. Because even while watching a movie, you identify yourself with a hero or heroine or someone else. Or while watching some match, some football or cricket match, which your country is not playing. Somebody is playing. You don't even know those countries play these games. But still, you become attached to one side. Always. This is always the thing. So, you can't even be a witness for things outside. How can you be witness for things inside? So, we say the self is sakshi until there is saksya, object. Until there is object, the self is witness. But we have to be very clear. We are not asking you to be witness for anything because you can't be, you are not qualified, you are not eligible to be witness. So what is said here? Saṅkalpasākṣi means that which is the substratum for the saṅkalpa. Substratum for the intentions, the thought. Okay, so that is what is sakshi. Sakshi means it is not seeing. Oh, okay, you came. Very good. No, it is the substratum which aids it to gain existence. How do you know this? It says sarvalokaikajīvanam. This self is this jnanam. This self is a sarvaloka, for all the world. Ekajīvanam is the only cause. So that which is the only cause and that which remains as the witness for. Witness for means the substratum for the thought. That self. Tadevāsmīti. Aham tadevāsmīti. I am that. There is no word aham. You can supply that word, because wherever there is no aham, you can supply that word. This is a full word with, there is a verb asmi and tadeva asmi. You don't have to add aham, but if you see asmi, you can add aham, supply aham. There is no problem. Tadeva aham asmi. I am that. I am that water. I am that substratum, that which gives existence for all these thoughts and beings. Iti yo veda. One who knows thus, in this way, sa mukta. He is liberated. Nātra saṃśayaḥ. There is no doubt regarding this. Wait. He says, one who understands, I am that which is substratum for all this, that which gives existence for all this, that is me. Then he said, that is liberation. Then he said something else earlier. What did he say? He said, bondage means aham, mama, iti, bandhaha. I and mine means bondage. Na aham, mama, neti, muktaha. I am not, mine not. This is a liberation. Now he says, one who understands the substratum, that which gives life to all these entities, including the thought, that is self, meaning tadevāsmīti. There is no I, mine here. I am this substratum. All these are living because of me. All these have existence because of me. So that is what is liberation. Now after saying that, he says, pramātā ca pramāṇaṃ ca prameyaṃ pramitistathā yasya bhāsāvabhāsante mānaṃ jñānāya tasya kim. Now you want to understand the secret of liberation, the means for liberation, the method for liberation. So he explains, the question is, what does that means for liberation? That's the question immediately, right? So he explains, pramātā ca pramāṇaṃ ca prameyaṃ pramitistathā yasya bhāsāvabhāsante mānaṃ jñānāya tasya kim. Beautiful. This is a very, very technical thing. If you just miss, you will interpret it in another way. We'll see. Pramātā. Pramātā means knower. I, the knower. Pramātā means knower. Pramāṇaṃ. Pramāṇaṃ means the means of right knowledge. The sense organs here. Prameyaṃ, the object, the sense object. So the knower, the sense organ, the pramāṇaṃ, prameyaṃ, the object, pramitihi, knowledge. So when we say duality, we say knower and known. Stop it. Now then we say there is trinity: knower, knowing, known. Actually we stop there because it's all duality. But there are 4 stages in the world of this duality, which is the knower, the knowing, the object of knowledge, and the knowledge. Otherwise, what is the point in seeing the object? You want to gain the knowledge of that object, right? So knower, through the means, sees the object and gains the knowledge. These are the 4 stages in any knowledge. So pramātā, pramāṇa, prameyaṃ, and pramiti. Okay. Now these 4. Yasya bhāsāvabhāsante. All these yasya bhāsāvabhāsante, because of which effulgence they shine. Which effulgence? Tasya bhāsā sarvamidam vibhāti. The Shruti says, because of its effulgence, all these shine. See, there are 2 kinds of pramāṇa. One is a prakāśa, effulgence. One is a swatah prakāśa, the other is paratah prakāśa. Paratah prakāśa, swatah prakāśa, we have to understand. Swatah prakāśa means self-effulgence. Paratah prakāśa means dependent on, effulgence dependent on something else. Like when I ask what exists in that room, just see if that book exists, is there in that room, or bring me that book. You immediately go into that room and you will switch on the light. So why do you switch on the light? There is no enough light there in the room. There is light. You enter that without any problem. But that light is not sufficient for you to search for the book. So you switch on the light. Now you see the book. Okay. Now wait. You saw the book? Yes. So the book exists. Yes, the book exists. Is the light shining? Is the light on? 1 second. What are you going to do? I'm going to switch the second light because there are 2 lamps in that room. So I'm going to switch on the second light. Why? To see if the first light is on. Do we say that? No. We just look above and see, yes, it is burning. We don't even look above. If you see the light, you see, yes, it's burning, it's on. So this in the world is self-effulgence, which does not need another light to illuminate. So this in the world, it is called a self-effulgence. But even that light of the world, or the sun for that matter, they all exist and shine because of that self. So yasya bhāsāvabhāsante, because of which effulgence, because of which existence, all these shine. Okay. Now, tasya jñānāya mānaṃ kim, tasya jñānāya, for that knowledge, for that self, mānaṃ kim. What is the pramāṇaṃ? Mānaṃ kim. What is the means? Pramāṇa, means of right knowledge. So what is the means of right knowledge for that? So if why I said you should be very careful here is for that knowledge, what is the means of right knowledge? That's a question. We here Acharya is not asking question. The disciple is not asking question. Acharya is saying, what can there be? What can the, what does that means? That's not the question. What is the means? There is no means. Get lost. That is the answer. You understand? So the tone is not there, but that's the idea there. Tasya jnana, for that knowledge, what is the means? What can there be means? Nothing. So if you ask accept it as a question, we'll understand how the world works, how you see things in the world. Oh, I open my eyes, I see the object. Yes. You say, I open my eyes, I see the object. Of course, I need light. Okay. You have light, you see the object. Is that all? No. Because we see, what are you doing? Listen to me. Yes, you are sitting in the class, you don't listen. Or somebody is looking at Khasuchi, we call it. Khasuchi. Kha means space. Suchi means seeing. So he is looking at the space. Blank. So what are you doing? So even though not there, here, not listening to anything, not seeing anything. Even though there is light, there is your sense organs working perfectly, but there is no mind. When there is no mind, anyatra mana bhuvam, we call it. When there is no mind, even if the object exists, even if the sense organs functions fine, you don't see it. So there is this mind necessary for understanding the object. Okay. So that is what is explained here. Arthākārā bhavedvṛttiḥ, phalenārthaḥ prakāśate, arthajñānaṃ vijānāti, evārthaḥ prakāśate. Yesterday, whoever listened to this Vishnu Sahasranama, there I explained in the last shloka about vritti vyapti and phala vyapti, the pervasion of thought function, the pervasion of consciousness, knowledge. So what is that? Here we are understanding it partly. Okay. First, we have to understand how we see the object. Before I explain how we see the object, we have to understand one thing very clearly. Vrittihi arthākārā bhaved. Vritti turns into the form of object. Arthākārā means in the form of object. Vrittihi, thought function. Thought function turns into the form of object. That is not how you understand it. First, what is thought function? Thought function is something which mind produces. Mind produces thought function. Bam! If you hear that, don't listen to that idiot. He is not teaching Vedanta. Mind does not produce thought function. Okay. Now, what is mind? Mind is, see, the arthākārā, the inner sense organ, has 4 parts. So, mind, intellect, chitta, memory, and ahankara, ego. These are the 4 parts of mind. Arthākārā. Pam, don't listen to him. He is an idiot. So, the mind is not made of 4 parts. This fellow, he is made of 4 parts. Part father, part son, part brother, younger brother, part younger brother, maybe uncle. Did you say that? No. We say this fellow, when he is in contact with his father, he becomes son. That he performs the functionality of a son. When he is in contact with his son, he performs the functionality of a father. So the arthākārā, that's why I use mind, is simple word, not instead of arthākārā, because it's all same. So mind, the arthākārā, whatever functionality it does, according to it, it gets a different name. Like when there is a saṅkalpa or vikalpa, when there is a doubt or a confusion, then that is called as mind. Mānaṃ. When there is a determination, whether right or wrong does not really matter. When there is determined knowledge, that is called as buddhi, intellect. Okay, this is the understanding. Mind means doubts, intellect means determined knowledge. This is how you understand the functionality. This is the functionality. It's a functionality of arthākārā. Arthākārā, therefore, is mind. Fine. Okay. Now, that arthākārā does not produce the thought function, but the arthākārā turns itself into a thought function, transforms into a thought function. Arthākārā transforms into a thought function. That is what is Vedanta. Okay. So, where does it start transforming? There is this place, we call it heart, okay, hrudaya. So, that is the source for the mind to originate, the thought function to originate, and the prana, vital air, to originate. The prana and the mind, they originate from the same place. That is why prana is as well controlled. You control the prana. So the mind transforms into a thought function and travels through the sense organ to understand, see the object. Now, there also, there is a subtlety. The mind does not transform and leave the place like a bullet fired from a gun or a arrow dispatched from the bow. No. It is not like the bullet fired or the arrow released. It is like there is a cracker. We can't really call it a cracker. It's a cracker kind of, right? So it's a charcoal kind of black. You burn it, then it will be burning in the bottom, but it will start giving you that snake kind of. We call it snake cracker. You burn it, it will create a charcoal, black charcoal snake. Okay. Now, similarly, the mind, or like the sun rays, the sun and the object with which where the ray hits, they are connected. Similarly, this from the point of origin, from where the mind transforms into thought function, without giving up, it travels through the sense organ. That's the place of pramātā, knower. From there, it travels through the pramāṇaṃ, the means of right knowledge, eyes. Okay. Then it goes to the thought function, goes to the object. Stop here. Now, with reference to everything, there is an important thing to understand, because for a pot, when you say pot exists, what you literally mean is a pot associated consciousness. When you say cloth exists, what you really mean is a cloth associated consciousness. That is why in everything there is a consciousness association. Whatever you say, associated consciousness is there. Otherwise, there can be no existence. Now, that is why in India, they have this tradition, when they hit someone with, like, when they, while walking, when they hit someone or something, they immediately touch that and touch their eyes as a mark of sorry. What stupidity! People, when you hit someone, or when your leg touches the book, or when it touches the money or something, they do this immediately. Wait, what stupidity! People keep their legs on the book and read. People keep their money under the leg. Now, they see the book or the money as a piece of paper, whereas we don't see it as piece of paper. We see it as a paper associated consciousness. We see the consciousness in it. We give the respect to consciousness, not the paper. So now that pot associated consciousness or any object here, that has an ignorance feeling. That is why even though it was there, you didn't see it. Now when you see it, what happens? The vritti travels through the sense organ and hits the object. The moment it hits the object, what happens is the vritti, this is the only function of vritti. The vritti removes the ignorance feeling. That is the only function of vritti. Vritti removes the wheeling of the screen of ignorance from the object. Okay. Vritti is like a rocket. It goes and hits and it immediately removes the wheeling. Now, when you say rocket, and this rocket does not get destroyed. When you say rocket, there is always fire behind the rocket. That is consciousness. When the rocket vritti goes and hits, it removes the wheeling. Then the fire consciousness engulfs the object. It illumines the object. It becomes the object. Since the vritti is not gone, the vritti associated consciousness as though takes form of the object. The only job for the vritti is to go and hit the object and remove the ignorance sheath. Okay. So now vritti arthākārā bhavet. The vritti turns in the form of the object and phalenārthaḥ prakāśate. The consciousness illumines it. Why I have to say this? The only thing, the only job for the vritti is to get rid of the ignorance. Why I have to say this? Because it says vritti transforms into the form of the object. That is where the problem is. Without understanding it, it will be confusing. Okay? So otherwise, next stage, the vritti vyapti and phala vyapti will not be able to understand. So vritti goes and removes the ignorance, then along with the consciousness, it engulfs the object and illumines the object. Now, here, the thought associated consciousness transforms into the pot form. The mind, arthākārā vachina chaitanya, vishya vachina chaitanya, thought associated consciousness, mind associated consciousness, the source, and the object associated consciousness, they are in one level. When the mind associated consciousness, the knower, the thought associated consciousness, the means, and the object associated consciousness, the object, they are same. They are of same form. Then we say, I know pot. The knower, mind associated consciousness, the knowing, thought associated consciousness, and the object, pot associated consciousness, when they are same, then we say, I know pot. That is why arthajñānaṃ vijānāti, then he knows the object. Sa evārthaḥ prakāśate, and that object is what shines. That object shines. We'll see this. Om purnamadaḥ purnamidam purnāt purnamudachyate purnasya purnamādāya purnamevāvashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti.